Ozzy's getting in this year, but he already got in with Black Sabbath, so it's like you're double dipping. Randy Rhoads, who of course died a long time ago, but he, was with Ozzy. Judas Priest, they squeezed him in. They got one of those musical excellence awards. But other than that, heavy metal is laughably underrepresented in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And so whenever they ask not only people in the musical community, but they ask, the general public who have their ears tuned to like what heavy metal bands should be in there. Iron Maiden consistently is among the top vote getters. I would say Motorhead, but I love Iron Maiden too. But it certainly doesn't seem like, for all these articles they write on these bands that aren't in or whatever, and metal being underrepresented, it certainly doesn't seem to be doing much to move the needle, and I can't imagine that the bands themselves care that much. Everybody says they don't care until they get the call that they're getting into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and it's got to make you feel good to some degree. But there's also an element of better late than never, I guess. And, when they do these polls, it doesn't count for anything for induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But Iron Maiden is one of those bands that's been nominated a couple of times. Recently, by the way. They've been around for 40-plus years. Their first nomination wasn't even until 2021. So that in and of itself, to me, is strange. 21 and 23 is when they were nominated. So whenever I see those, that tells me that that's the lead up to these bands getting in at some point. At least that they're on the radar. But they're always on the public radar for a lot longer than... Boy, I'll tell you what, Bill, I don't want to step on Perez Bilton's shoes.
I was just going to say breaking news.
But I've got some news that...
I think it's the same.
Dave Grohl?
Yep. I was gonna go, speaking of bands that are in the Rock Hall, Alan, some breaking news.
Dave Grohl has posted a statement to Instagram that he has fathered a love child. He will be he will be a new father to a new baby daughter born outside of his marriage to Jordan Bloom. And so, listen. Does this do anything to tarnish Dave Grohl's reputation?
Yes.
Okay.
How is that even a question?
It was mostly rhetorical, but I mean, he was married once, been married a couple of times. I don't think he had kids with his first wife, but he's been with Jordan Bloom for a long time, 20 years, right? They got 3 kids, and by all accounts, good dad, but you're a rock star. You're on the road a lot. I have to say, this is not the guy I thought would be posting a statement like this. Didn't think it was going to be Dave Grohl. I thought it was going to be
getting Foo Fighters tours for the rest of his life.
Right.
He's gonna what?
He can never. He can't retire now. He's got a kid.
He's made his money 100 times over. He could afford 10 love children. Yeah, but I mean, he could write her a check today for college and be fine. But that's a wild pivot there. Not the guy that I would have thought was going to get, and how do you whiff that? How do you whiff that?
Feels good.
All you have to do is not knock somebody up.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't knock them up. It's all you have to do. So, my condolences are reserved for Perez Bilton because obviously,
I mean, I didn't have this in it. So
I know that's why I'm saying it. The news just broke. I just saw it in the Daily Mail. And I don't know where they go from there. But I have a feeling, because didn't the reason this is somewhat confusing to me is because it seemed like his family was out with him a lot on the road.
Yeah, but it only takes one night for them not to be.
Mm-hmm.
I see. Just one night, you say?
Or a half a night, even.
Half a night?
Bro, if a dude wants to cheat, he'll find a way.
Right.
His statement is, I've recently become the baby's born?
Yeah.
Oh. I've recently become the father of a new baby daughter born outside of my marriage. I plan to be a loving and supportive parent to her. I love my wife and my children, and I am doing everything I can to regain their trust and their forgiveness. We're grateful for your consideration toward all the children involved. as we move forward together. It's like when Gavin Rossdale found out that he had a full-grown love child, right?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't he meet his daughter when she was like 30 or something? He had a fling with some girl, and then 30 years later, a girl walks up to him, goes, "I'm your daughter." He took a paternity test in 2004. Because when somebody comes up to you and says that, you go, well, let's figure this out.
No, you are not.
First, let me take my at-home syphilis test. Have you ever been pinched for tax evasion? Those kinds of questions. And, yeah, his daughter was born 1989.
It's my year. When's her birthday?
Although I don't know the state of that situation, because initially he was like, well, this is my daughter, and we're going to figure it out. But I think that kind of went by the wayside. I don't know if he's still has a relationship with his daughter. Why didn't I ask him that, Bill, when he was here for Buzzard Fest last year? We get on so
you're
well.
An idiot.
Why didn't I ask him
Should've
that?
asked him
Oh,
that.
my God. And, you know, Gavin Rossdale, he was accused of having homosexual relationships and all kinds of stuff. Boy George.
Good way to not have an out your marriage.
That's
True.
the thing.
Cheat with a man.
Just put it in dudes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Boy George was the guy who said that Gavin Rossdale was gay. Or that his Peter had temporarily teetered that way. And, you know, so Gavin Rossdale's a good-looking dude. You know, he's married to Gwen Stefani for a while. He was with Courtney Love for a hot minute. He's dating, like, German models and stuff.
I don't know. What do you think his wife did that made him cheat?
Boy, it's a really good question. I mean... Mary's Dayquil's wearing off at the most inopportune time. Oh, no, Mary.
Did you have an idea, Mary?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. I don't, Bill. I don't have any idea.
Hey, Alan. Of course, the name for that at-home syphilis test should be, I can't believe it's not chlamydia. Hate the show.
I can't. Somebody else.
I like that.
Yeah, somebody else suggested syphilis. That's pretty good. Yeah, so Dave Grohl.
Are there no decent rock stars out there anymore? No family-loving, just...
What about your Fall Out Boys? Aren't they good boys?
Yeah, they're... I don't think they're married.
Yeah, there's probably a couple of them that are, yeah. Those guys are like in their 40s now.
I know, what's his name? Pete was with Ashley Simpson for a long time.
For a while, but that's been done for a while,
Yeah,
too,
been done for a minute. Boy, I'll tell you what, when Dave Grohl does take his family on the road, their holes are going to clench every time he starts singing Best of You.
There goes my hero. His kids crying when they find out.
Well, I mean, his daughters are teenagers, and I don't know. You know, it took me a lot longer than it should have, I guess, by most accounts, but you'd think Dave Grohl would be a guy who was snipped. Guy's older than me, right?
Yeah, that probably would have been a good move.
I should have hooked him up with Dr. Ryan Berglund over there at the Cleveland
stupid.
Clinic.
You guys are idiots. But your ego. And
Dave Grohl's 55 years old. What does ego have to do with it?
I think that's why a lot of guys don't want to get snipped. It's got something
Ego?
to do with not being able to make an offspring. It hits your egos weird, I think.
But you're voluntarily choosing to not do that. It'd be different if you were impotent. I could see where that would really get in your head. I can't knock a woman up. You know, it's
Right.
like, you know, Selena Gomez, we were talking about her a couple days ago because she was in the news because she's a billionaire now. She's a newly minted billionaire on paper. But she also said that because of the lupus and everything, that she really had to come to terms with the fact that she will never be able to carry and bear a child. And so that's got to be just as awful for women in that capacity, and guys if they're sterile or whatever. But you're voluntarily choosing to not have any more kids.
Yeah.
So
But
it's not like
I'm saying
it happens to you.
No. I think that is what prevents men from doing it. Is that they feel like less of a man if they can't get someone pregnant. So they don't get a
Really?
vasectomy. Yeah.
Boy, that would never occur to me.
Well, you waited until you were 50 to get it done. Why? You
I
had no plans of having another kid?
No, because I didn't care about the condom thing. But then I was like, this is really ridiculous. So why not? And then Berglund, I hadn't known him forever. I'd known him for a while, I guess, but
Hasn't he been coming on the show for like 10 years?
yeah, but again, that was
So-
but that was before we were married or had our kid or anything like that. So that's all, But yeah, I mean, you might be onto something. I don't know. You might be onto something.
It's the only thing I can come up with why every man doesn't have a vasectomy. If you don't want kids, go get snipped. There's no reason, because you can undo it if you change your mind.
Right. Alan, I want to get snipped so I can leave it in. Well, again, that's yeah, I get it. And again, my brother, my middle brother, he and his wife just had their 27th wedding anniversary. And my nephews are like 25 and 26, something like that. My brother was like, when I went a couple of years ago, when I first was telling him I was home for Thanksgiving, I was telling him about my vasectomy. He's like, why didn't you get that a long time ago? And I was like, I don't know. It certainly wasn't ego, at least for me. You might be right. There's probably a part in some cultures too. There's probably like a whole machismo thing where anytime you leave it in, you want to make sure you can knock somebody up. And I'm like,
Spread your
Jesus.
seed.
I guess there is a biological imperative there, but we all are also living in 2024 where, and Dr. Berglund's talked about it a bunch of times, they are theoretically reversible. A lot of guys have had their...
Snip, snap, snip, snap.
They've had their vasectomies reversed. I mean, I would never go that route. I would never want to think about that. But, yeah. Mary has no idea what she's talking about. Ego has nothing to do with it. Well, that's you, though. And that's me.
Right.
She might, has a guy ever told you that was the reason that he never got a vasectomy?
No, but I feel like I don't think guys would admit it. I think it's just
Admit
one
it.
of those, it's one of those like male ego things where on some level you feel like less of a man if you can't get a woman pregnant. So even if you don't ever have any intentions of having kids, you don't want to get a vasectomy. Because I cannot think of another reason not to.
Well,
If you know you don't want children, why not?
Well, because not a lot of people don't know that they don't want children. They think they don't. Listen, I said I'm not going to have any more kids. I had 2 kids. I said I'm not having any more kids. Gwen and I almost broke up over it. But you get to thinking about it. I don't know. There's a million things that you think about. It's why doctors are somewhat hesitant to talk to young women and young men about doing it. Because now for some reason they were harder on the women.
For some reason.
The patriarchy, Mary. But they go, yeah, nobody wants kids when they're 22. But down the road, you might want them. So who knows? I don't know. For me, it was just, it's really ridiculous that I haven't had it done. It's silly. So I had it done. There was probably a little bit of fear, too, because there had been enough, not horror stories, but there had been enough stories over the course of a decade doing Is It Red segments where sometimes not everything went according to plan. And I didn't want anything down there getting screwed up. I would have rather strapped condoms on the rest of my entire life than have anything rendered inoperative because I had it in my head that I needed to get my
Well, maybe that's
get
part
my
of it
snip
too,
snip.
then. When it's like, oh, it's such a sensitive area. I don't want anyone down there messing with
I'm
anything.
sure that for me, that was
But-
part of it, yes.
Sure, but then it's like women are still expected to go get pap smears and every other thing that goes along with it, and our area is just as sensitive.
If not more.
But it's not going to, nothing's going to stop working is my point.
How do you know?
Has
If
anybody...
you get- yes.
Okay, give me the analogy here. Because first of all, I'm
So-
not a woman, so I'm not talking about women. I'm talking about me. So what's the analogy?
I had a LEAP procedure done, which is where they electrically shave off the first layer of your cervix
Right.
if it has cancerous cells on it. So I've had that done. You can only have like 1 or 2 of them because if you take too much off, you are going to have a real hard time with pregnancy.
Right.
So if that is done improperly and they take off too much, now you've got issues holding a baby inside of your cervix.
Well, no,
You know
listen,
what I mean?
I'm not
Like-
arguing. That's not great, but that's different than, I mean, that's not great. It's reason 4092. There's a lot of the reasons it sucks to be a woman, right? But what do you want? I mean,
I want men to get vasectomies.
Why?
That's the whole point of this conversation.
Right, but vasectomy has nothing to do with whether or not you're getting a LEEP procedure.
Right. You asked me for an analogy, and I gave you one.
That's not a good one.
No, it's perfectly fine. You said, how could something go wrong in a female procedure?
No, I didn't say that. I did not say that. What I said was, you're not going to have anything stop working in a sexual capacity, is what you're not going to have. That's all guys care about, their dongs. That's all we care about, that it still works. The baby stuff, cool, whatever. You want it to happen, it'll happen. You don't, it don't. You'll want it to work. And yeah, the vasectomy hesitation on my part wasn't ego. I got plenty of that. It was, what if something goes wrong?
Well, that is ego. Not being able to perform sexually is an ego thing. If you can't perform sexually, you think you're less of a man. That is your ego. Those are the exact same thing.
Maybe, Freud,
Yeah.
I don't know. What I'm saying is, I would like it to work, whether I'm using it or not.
I fully understand that.
I'd
but
really
comes
like it to
down-
work. I like it to work with myself.
Mhm.
I'd like it to work elsewhere, So, okay, maybe, yeah, okay. I don't know. Listen, bottom line, Dave Grohl should have gotten snipped. Hey, Tyler.
Yes, sir.
What's going on, Tyler?
Not much, man. How about you?
Hanging in. Just talking wieners,
Yeah, hell yeah. So I honestly, I'm very confused as to how it has to do with ego. We also just subject jumped. Like first it was an issue with producing babies, and then it's a thing of pleasing sexually. I mean, as far as babies go, I feel like that, none of that has to do with ego, because if we're talking ego at that point, then dudes can get snipped, and then they can just go on about bragging how they bust in 70 girls a year, da 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 da.
Yeah,
So
but that's all.
point,
But we're not talking about the bros that are out there who are trying to rack bodies, right? I'm not talking about that. Talking about I buy the ego thing. I mean, there's a lot of guys who I guess it's super important to them that they got a whole bunch of kids running around. I don't know. It's a biological thing in your brain. That part I'll buy. I think Mary's right about that. There's a thing in everyone's brain, it's like why we love boobs. I mean, there's things that go beyond what we can logically comprehend that make things move on our bodies.
Fair enough.
Are you snipped,
Well,
Tyler?
thanks for taking my call, guys. I appreciate it. What's that?
Are you snipped?
I am not, but I've got 3 kids, so I probably should be, to be honest with you. But
Well, it depends on how many you want.
What about your ego?
All right, thank you, Tyler. It depends on how many you want. If my mom had her way, I would have had 7 siblings. That was all that was important to her. And, I ain't like that. But, well, there you go. Mary's got scraped out. That's no fun.
I'm just saying I think that it's about time that the burden of responsibility falls on men a little bit.
Oh, you're
than
talking
just
about,
women.
I see. You're talking about the burden of birth control. In general,
Yeah.
you're talking, I see. Well,
in
that's
general, that's what I'm saying. That's what I was
yeah,
saying.
but that's got nothing to do with
general.
it. But that's a much more functional situation you're talking about than guys' egos.
But that's what's preventing them from doing it. Because they're like, why can't you just take a pill every day?
Again, this
Why
goes.
can't you
I'm
just
not.
mess with your hormones every
I
day?
understand. I guess I didn't have all the douchebags on my brain. I was thinking about guys who can kind of.
Not like guys in committed relationships like you who are like, oh, I'm 50, maybe I don't. I mean, like any man over the age of 30. Why don't you have a vasectomy if you're not going to have any kids?
Well, here's
People do change their minds all the time.
What about
Again, it's reversible.
What
and
about-
a lot of these guys aren't getting laid anyway.
What
so-
about the
So-
skinny wiener kings?
What about them?
They might not be able to afford to do all that. They got to.
Isn't it like a couple $100?
First of all,
No.
no.
I don't know how much
No.
it costs.
I don't
How
mean.
much did it cost with insurance?
I don't mean monetarily. I mean the skinny wiener kings might not be able to, they might not be able to risk something going wrong. They're hanging on for dear life as it is. I'm just reading you this text.
Mm-hmm.
Some people don't want to get vasectomies because they don't want to have medical procedures. Well, first of all, I'd say grow up. Second of all, would you rather have a medical procedure or pay for a kid until they're 18? I mean, that's going to be a hell of a lot
ways
more.
to have sex without getting somebody pregnant.
Yes.
And Dave Grohl should know that.
Right.
Oh, man. Again, yeah. You get a full head
Average
of...
cost of a vasectomy is about $1,600.
That ain't nothing.
Well, if you don't have $1,600, it is. Not a lot of people are. They got $1,600 just lying around.
I know
To
that.
snip themselves. I don't know. All right, let me take a break here. We're going to get to that aforementioned hot celebrity goss. We were just kind of priming the pump there with the Dave Grohl thing. But Perez Bilton will do it. I will have Sarah Silverman tickets for you when we get back. I think she might be coming on the show, too, before she performs at the State Theater. That is the 21st. That's Saturday night at Playhouse Square, so we'll do those coming back. Anything else?